CEO and governor of Big Play, huh?
Adam Silver made me change it.
That's right. Very well done. Wow, I like how you change with the times. Very progressive of you.
You know,
Dave.
you have to. It's 2019, Chris. What's up, Internet? How we doing? We'll get it started here in just a minute. Bree, you got uglier.
Got some big shoes to fill.
That's right. We'll get started here in a couple minutes. Get you going with the Cleveland sports headlines. All-Star Week, that was exhausting.
No kidding.
Yeah.
As
always, especially when it's here in Cleveland. Let's make sure it's out there. Looking good.
I'm getting close. I'm trying to send this thing out there.
Yeah?
Yep.
I'm trying. I swear I'm trying. Let's see here.
Omar
Vizquel doesn't have a Twitter account?
I don't think so. Does he? Did I mess that up?
I'll look.
Shoot.
Come on, do your homework.
Right?
What kind of a show do you think this is?
Yeah, it's Vizquel Omar 13.
Oh, we'll hit him with a promo.
Boy, that would have been hard to find.
Whatever, Chris. Leave me alone. Everyone file on in here. Intern Alex getting the show out to everyone. Chris is getting the show out to everyone. We got Nick Pedone in studio. All right, let's see here. Make sure the soundboard's ready to go. There she is, Redhead 13. Hey, guys. Hello. Happy Wednesday. Almost said Monday.
Yeah.
It is not Monday. We're going back to back today.
So wait, what's Omar's handle again?
It's Vizquel Omar 13.
Perfect. Hello, Cough the Man. What's going on? All right, I'm ready. Chris, I think you're just about ready.
There, boom. I just hit tweet. Look at that.
Boom. Good work.
Both handles of both of our guests.
Wow. You nailed it. I messed it up. But let's get this thing started. The Big Play Cleveland Reflog Show is brought to you by ShackNews.com. Shack News is your go-to for gaming news. Covers all your gaming content needs. Latest game reviews, complete walkthroughs of Destiny 2, Super Mario Maker 2, and they just came out with a list of the top games released thus far in 2019. Mortal Kombat making the list again. Head on over to Shack News and get into the conversation by clicking on the Shack News Twitter profile, because when it comes to gaming news, there's only one site to visit, shacknews.com. We got a great show tonight. Let's get it going. The Big Play Cleveland Reflog Show. Today is Wednesday, July 10th, 2019. I am your host, Big Play Dave, alongside my main man, Mr. Chris McNeil. What's up, brother?
How you doing, All-Star?
Oh, that was so nice of you. Very fitting with the week, too.
Right? It's like we have a theme going on.
That's right. You're not Bree.
No, I'm not.
Get in that microphone, buddy.
No, I'm not.
We got Nick Pedone in studio, Cleveland reporter for BigPlay.com. What's up, man? How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Finally, All-Star Week festivities are over, so glad to hop on the show on a Wednesday, not on Monday, but on a Wednesday.
It's throwing me off. So what a week in Cleveland. So, Nick, you probably don't remember this because you were 0 at the time, but a couple decades ago, downtown Cleveland, it was stadiums, and that was it. Like, Chris, do you remember this? Like, if you go downtown Cleveland, Ohio, and you either are going to an Indians game or a Browns game, and there weren't restaurants, there was no city life like to go out. I mean, it's incredible how much the city's changed the last couple decades, and the national praise that we saw during the All-Star game was really, really cool to see.
makes you a little uncomfortable, doesn't it? We're not used to that. We're starting to see it a little bit with the Browns, and now we're seeing it with the city overall. People nationally recognizing how Cleveland has come back, reestablished itself, not only for its sports teams, but also, all the amenities. So it's kind of a weird spot for us to be in. I love it, Dave.
I love it too. Yeah, dude, the national praise from literally everyone was really, really awesome. So, including Joe Thomas, who we had an interview with.
Yeah, Joe Thomas was super psyched, and it was kind of cool to hear from him. He's been a Clevelander since 2007 when he was drafted with the Browns, so he's seen some of the turnaround that's happened in downtown Cleveland. And what he was really, talking about was a lot of the restaurants that have popped up throughout town. So it's cool, and that's what a lot of the national pundits and things on Twitter that have praised the city for this MLB All Star Weekend have said too. Like, the food is amazing, the city's amazing, our fans were engaged all weekend, and it was really cool to see our city like that.
Yes, it was. Go ahead.
Even when you mic up the players on the field, Francisco Lindor
how cool is that?
Talking about the restaurants. He was talking about Lola. I could see my followers shout out to Chef Simon. Must have loved that he dropped a Lola right there on the national broadcast and pimped them a little bit. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, I saw that gif. Well done, well done. What's up, Guru? He says, Joe is my hero. General Patton, welcome back. Checking in on YouTube. So let's kick this thing off. So tonight on the show, we're going to get into our exclusive interviews with Cleveland legends Omar Vizquel and Joe Thomas. Really excited to play those for you guys. Our guy Nick Pedone conducting those interviews. We'll get into some Power Rank Monday. Top 3 Cleveland athletes you'd like on your interview wish list. Nick, we did that one for you.
Awesome. I appreciate that.
You have to land them all. So
that's right.
What you got to do next.
This is what we do. Yes, then we tag them, and then we make them come on the show.
All right,
this is how we operate.
Yeah, strategy.
That's right. We'll then get into the latest Cleveland sports headlines from the week, what's coming up, a lot of stuff going on with the Indians, obviously. We'll hit you with a few Would You Rathers, and we will end the show with our bold predictions for the week. I was going to say, hit me with the transition. You're not Alec. Alec's not even here. Let's see if he's... Nope, he's not here. But Alec, go ahead and hit me with a transition sound here. Chris, what are you doing out there? Chris, I just had you over the graphic. Whatever.
Oh, beautiful.
What could go wrong? So we caught up with a pair of Cleveland legends for during All-Star Week, including the smoothest Cleveland icon of all time, Omar Vizquel, and the first lineman in the history of the NFL, the Cleveland GOAT, Joe Thomas. So Nick, you absolutely crushed it for BigPlay.com at All-Star Week. So let's kick it off with your interview of Omar Vizquel down at the Kingsford tent at Play Ball Park.
Awesome. Let's see it. What is up, Cleveland fans? My name is Nick Pedone, hanging out here in the Kingsford tent at Play Ball Park in downtown Cleveland, hanging out with Indians legend Omar Vizquel. Omar, you're no stranger to All-Star games. You're no stranger to barbecues. Talk to me a little bit about your history in Venezuela, how you fell in love with barbecuing and stuff like that.
Well, when you got big events like this, you always get together with the family, and obviously you always have a cookout. You always got like different recipes from grandmas that has been from generation to generation, and our recipe was simple. We used to make these arepas, and also we fill it up with like chickens, and everybody got different sauces and stuff. So it's a big tradition for everybody to do these kind of things, and I love it now that I got the opportunity to share my recipes with the baseball fans all over the world. We have a book that come out. It's called The Taste of the Game. And every ballpark has a different recipe for everybody, and I think it's great that everybody take a look at this book. You can find it on kingsford.com, and obviously taste of the book, and share all this experience with your buddies and families.
Absolutely. So the last time that Cleveland hosted an All-Star game, man, was 1997. You were a member of the Cleveland Indians then. What was the city like then? What's it like now? What are you expecting before this, Tuesday's big event?
Well, it reminds me a lot to what's going on right now, where they close down the streets and they got everybody together in a little place. Downtown Cleveland is beautiful, and obviously there are some spots that you cannot miss, like this one that we're standing up right now, right in front of the Rock and Roll Museum, and then you got the other ballpark, the football ballpark here, and all these beautiful buildings that are around the city. So, it's a great opportunity for everybody to come together and enjoy the baseball game.
Now, you know this city as well as anyone, man, and you know the shortstop position as well as anyone. So our guy Frankie Lindor is going to check into this game around the 4th or 5th inning. What are you expecting the fans to react when Lindor walks into that batter's box?
It's going to be crazy. I mean, to being a hometown hero and then be part of this celebration is an extra special moment for everybody. I remember when Sandy Alomar did the same. When the game was host here, he came up and hit a double off the wall, and I think the whole stands were going to fall down. So it's going to be a great moment. Don't miss it, and be sure to check out the game.
Cool. Omar, you're doing on Sunday, you're doing the Futures game.
Yeah.
What advice do you give to these young prospects before they go out there in front of all these fans?
I think the best advice is to enjoy the celebration. It's not a game that you have to be all focused and, I have to do this, I have to do that. It's really a show for everybody. It's a show for the players. The players have to meet other people. All the best prospects on the games are here. And I'm so glad that I get to participate and get to know these guys.
Cool. That's all we had for you guys. Make sure to check out Omar Vizquel's book with Kingsford. Make sure to check that out. Make sure to check out all of our All-Star content over at BigPlay.com.
Thank you, Nick.
Great stuff from Nick Pedone, Big Play's Cleveland reporter. Nick, Omar Vizquel, I gotta ask. Off camera, did you ask him if he uses oven mitts or if he just bare hands it while barbecuing?
I did not. However, when I dapped him up there at the end, I felt a few.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, there was a few calluses there, so I have a feeling. Now I'm not reporting this. This is just a gut feeling that Omar Vizquel just takes the chicken right off with his bare hand.
Wow! Breaking news right here on the Big Play Reflog Show. So really cool. What was it like interviewing Omar?
Yeah, it was pretty cool actually. Me being a younger guy, I don't even remember watching Omar play, but my parents and everyone else. Yeah,
God, you're so young.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And my parents and everyone that have grown up watching the Indians just tell me how phenomenal of a player that he was. So it was cool. Afterwards off camera, I was able to tell him, "Hey man, I wish that I could tell you that I'm a huge fan, but in reality, I never watched you play because I just don't remember it." And he took me by the shoulder. He was like, I figured you were a younger guy.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool though. In that regard, to talk to somebody that was older than me and that is, an all-time great at his position, I have so much respect for it. And then that's the nice thing about the internet too, is you could go right on YouTube and find some of those old games. So I could relive some of that.
Nick, what is a VHS? Do you know what that stands for?
No, I don't know what it stands for,
okay.
but I know
That's
the tapes, they're thick.
The tapes, they're thick. I love it. So great stuff there. So Nick, you also interviewed another Cleveland sports legend, Joe Thomas. Gotta think you know who that guy is.
Oh yeah. Everybody knows that guy.
Yeah. So what was it like interviewing these two guys? Which guy were you most nervous for, if any?
I was probably, I was confident going into both. The Joe Thomas nerves were pretty real once I got up next to him because he was just hovering over me. I mean, he was a tall guy. On the handshake, his hand just devoured mine. So I was like, wow, this is a gigantic human being in front of me. But both guys are, the most humble, down-to-earth people that you could talk to as far as athletes go. And they were both just super receptive to the whole Big Play website and being interviewed on camera. It was a really cool experience.
That it is. Thanks to Kingsford Charcoal for setting that up. Let's go to the Joe Thomas interview live at that Kingsford 10 at Play Ballpark.
We are standing in the beautiful downtown Cleveland with no ordinary Joe, future Hall of Famer, legendary left tackle for the Cleveland Browns. Joe Thomas joins us with BigPlay.com. Joe, I know you're very passionate about barbecuing. You're always posting things on social media, always finish with that flamethrower, man. Talk to me a little bit about where your passion for barbecue began and how it's kind of spiraled to where it is today.
Yeah, I've always enjoyed eating. It was a big part of my career. I was a guy that had to eat a lot to keep my weight on. And so when I retired, I had to kind of start cooking for myself a little bit because as NFL players, you're constantly getting food put in your face. So I didn't really know a whole lot about it, but I knew that I like to eat, but I also needed to be a little smarter in how I ate. So I developed a little bit of a lower carb approach in retirement, started cooking my own meals, and just developed this huge passion for grilling, for smoking, for barbecuing, and putting all the food together that I need to eat on a daily basis. And so it was just a labor of love, and now I feel like I'm pretty good over a grill. I feel like I've got some nice recipes that the family really enjoys, and there's no better way to spend an afternoon in the summer than getting out there with a cold brew and a nice hot grill.
Cool. So talk to me a little bit. Believe it or not, man, you've been a Clevelander for over 10 years now. The city's on fire. Cleveland Browns Stadium behind us is going to be rocking in a couple months. We got the MLB All Star Game, 2021 NFL Draft. How cool is that for you to see this city as hot as it is right now?
Yeah, it's really cool for me. The city has done a transformation in the 15 years since I was drafted in 2007, and it's really awesome to see, and it's really cool to be a part of, to come back to an event like this. I don't think any city in the country does a better job than Cleveland in throwing an awesome sporting event like this. They've got the passionate fan base for all the major sports. They've got great people that love to host and love to show off what an awesome city Cleveland has become.
Cool. And with all these moves that John Dorsey has made, you know this game better than anyone. Over 10,000 consecutive snaps throughout your career. How special is what we are about to witness with this Cleveland Browns team?
Well, I think it's really special. I look at the weapons that John Dorsey has put together on offense, the stout defense, the playmakers that they have on defense at the important positions. Anybody that's a Cleveland Browns fan has got to be excited about the direction that this team is headed, and there's a lot of other teams in the NFL that ought to be a little worried about playing the Cleveland Browns come fall.
Certainly. You hear Browns fans and even media pundits throw around the term America's team, and then you hear that term partnered with the word Cleveland Browns. When you hear that and that runs through your head, what runs through your head when you hear those two words paired together?
A lot of pride runs through my head, and I think the reason that Cleveland should be especially proud and Browns fans should be especially proud, and I think they've earned that moniker of America's team, is because it's hard to imagine another fan base to endure what Browns fans have in the last 30 years when the team left, then the team comes back, and then really the abysmal play of the team for a long, long time. But those fans continued to show up. They continued to support their team. They continued to watch, and they continued to cheer and hope for better things, where most fan bases in the country would have just turned it off and stopped being fans of that team. They would have gone and become a fan of a different team, but that's not how Browns fans operate. They're loyal just like I am, and so I respect that about them, and I think that's why they definitely should be America's team, as they've gotten this new resurgence going in the last couple years.
Joe, that's all I had for you, man. Thank you so much for joining us at BigPlay.com.
That was a long interview.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Joe gave us some time. So Joe was on a super tight schedule. I was pulling into the Kingsford tent lot, listening to 92.3, and I think it was Bull and Fox were on. They're like, we got Joe Thomas coming up here in about 5 minutes, and that's like right when you were about to interview him. I was like, oh no, you don't. Big Play's got him.
Yeah, it was super cool, and he was super nice. Like you said, he gave us some real good time. He gave us some really thought out answers there, especially when it came to the Browns. He wasn't really beating around the bush. He was getting straight to it, that he's excited for this season with the moves that John Dorsey has made, and rightfully so. Why wouldn't he be excited?
Yeah, I mean, I really wished you would have fattened him up on some Kingsford barbecue, got him ready for week 1. It just, someone said it in the comments here, yeah, General Patton, he said, it's a shame Joe didn't get a chance to play with this team. I agree, man. Chris, don't you wish he was still on this team and finally saw it through? I mean, obviously, not blaming him. He was hurt and it was time, but don't you kind of wish he got a chance to be on a team like this, at least on paper?
Sure, absolutely. For a guy like that, drafted into Cleveland, stays here his whole career, didn't see really much winning at all. But it is cool to have a guy like that kind of on the other side in the media, who's well-liked nationally, who is a huge proponent of what we're doing in terms of Cleveland, in terms of the Browns. It's nice to have kind of an insider there that we really don't have too much of in Cleveland. So even though he's not on the field, he's still fulfilling a role for the Cleveland Browns and for the Cleveland area.
So, Chris, who's more important in Cleveland history, Joe Thomas or the made man in Cleveland, Riz.
Tony Rizzo?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I almost called him Grossy.
I always do that. I always mistakenly say Grossy when I mean Rizzo. Say
Right.
Rizzo when I mean Grossy. They're interchangeable, really, because they're both kind of old curmudgeons anymore, especially around social media. But for his part, Grossy's never threatened to kill me, whereas Rizzo has, and Joe Thomas has not threatened to kill me. So he's a made man in my mind.
That's right. Great interviews. Fantastic work, Nick. Let's move on to some Power Rank Monday, except it's Wednesday. It's time for Power Rank Monday. Power Rank Monday, top 3 Cleveland athletes on your interview wish list. You're our interview guy, my man. Nick,
right.
Let's start with you. 3 guys you really got to interview.
All right, so are we starting at the bottom? Are we starting with 3 or are we starting with
Start
1?
with 3.
Okay, so we'll start with 3.
I'll even give you a ding.
Okay. I'm going to go with Johnny Manziel, Billy Vegas.
Whoa.
I feel like just to hear that story from the horse's mouth would be absolutely phenomenal. Like, to hear him talk about putting on the blonde wig and calling himself Billy, all the practice drama too with Justin Gilbert oversleeping the alarm clock. Like, there is so much material there for a Johnny Manziel / Billy Vegas interview. That'd be phenomenal.
Going full circle, Joe Thomas and Hawk on their podcast were one of the very few to actually get that interview. It was very, very cool. So go check that out as well. All right, give us your number 2.
All right. My number 2 is going to be Baker Mayfield. Now, he's got the city on fire. Has Browns fans in the palm.
Yep.
Yeah, we're just wrapped around his finger at this point. Everybody,
as we should be.
Everybody that told Chris for the parade that they're out and they're never going to a game again. We're first in line at the season ticket office when Baker won that Thursday night football game. So, talking to Baker Mayfield about how the city has received him, winning that first game, what that was like, that's going to be my number 2.
All right, I love it. And what's your number 1?
It's all a honeymoon right now with Baker Mayfield in Cleveland, one could say.
Oh,
no pun intended.
Good. Look
right?
at you.
Right?
God, you're killing the transitions here. I love it, Chris.
All right, ding. Number 1.
Ding. Number 1. Number
Seamless.
1 is a fellow December 30th birthday, Dave, and it is going to be LeBron James.
LeBron James.
I could sit down with LeBron probably for hours and just go, why'd you leave the first time? Why go to LA the second time? There's so many questions, and because there was so many storylines throughout LeBron's career.
Yeah.
LeBron was so easy for me to pick my number 1. He was really the guy that made me start watching Cleveland sports and be as passionate as I am about, sports media because of the constant storyline that follows LeBron James. There was constantly something to read about, constantly something to write about through his second stint in Cleveland. So that's why LeBron James is my number 1.
All right, man, I love it. That's not a bad list. My list is super weird. Okay, so my number 3, I'll ding myself here. Dennis Martinez.
Presidente.
The Presidente. Met him at a Toronto hotel. We followed the team, found out where they were staying, and got all their autographs. And he was like one of the only players who took a lot of time and was hanging out with us, talking with us, and we're like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then we've got Albert Bell telling me F you as he's eating his steak and eggs in the morning. I'm like, oh, thanks, Albert. Nice to meet you. I'm 6. So Dennis Martinez, super nice guy. My number 2, speaking of nice guys, Paul Sorrento.
Paul freaking Sorrento. I loved him.
Loved Paul Sorrento. Met him one time as a kid. He told me to stay in school and not do drugs. I followed that advice. I turned out okay. I give my parents some credit, and I give Paul Sorrento the rest. My number 1, I'm going Bernie Kosar.
One touch of Bree in here.
I know. Yeah, Bree's not here, so I decided to just go with her selection. Number 1, Bernie Kosar. A couple different reasons. Obviously, he was incredible. One of the best Browns quarterbacks of all time. 2, I would just want to interview him and pick his brain about the quarterbacks in the league now, get his feelings on Baker Mayfield, run through some plays with him, he would know the play before it even started. Like him and Romo, I'd put him ahead of Romo, but those two guys, like, they can call any play 10 seconds before it happens. It's insane.
Outstanding. You're right. He used to be such a treat on preseason. I guess he is now again, but especially when he was up in the booth, I always looked forward to that because you'd learn so much about the game just watching and listening to him in those 4 games.
Chris, let's hear yours. Let's hear them.
So, number 3, J.R. Smith, the shirtless wonder. I mean, what an intriguing guy. Not only is he a lot of fun, we saw that over the All-Star festivities where at the celebrity softball game he wasn't wearing a shirt. He's obviously always up for a good time. And he's also seen the highs here, obviously, with our championship in 2016, and then the lows of dribbling out the clock and costing us a game against the Warriors potentially. So it'd be interesting if he would be candid about that and really about his time in Cleveland. I think he's got a lot of stories to tell, and it would be a great interview. My number 2.
Celebrity softball game. Did you see JR? He tried to go with his patented Knicks celebration of the wheel arm and just completely slipped. It was fantastic. All right, you're number 2.
Pure JR. Number 2 is Delonte West. There's another guy. I know he's had some unfortunate mental issues, but you see the YouTube videos of the hot sauce in his bag. I mean, he's a guy who is having a lot of fun off the court. I think he would be really a fantastic interview. Obviously, I would have to at some point touch on some of LeBron stuff and get into that if he would be willing to go there, which, spoiler, he would not. But even if he doesn't touch that stuff, I still think that he is just a fascinating character in terms of Cleveland sports, and I'd love to interview him. And my number 1. Nobody in the history of Cleveland media would pick this guy. He wouldn't be anywhere near anyone's list. And that's the reason I have him at my number 1. And that's Albert, don't call me Joey Bell. I'm of the age where I can remember him coming up as Joey Bell. And the fact that, he was taunted by fans in the stands who invited him to a kegger, and then one of them got a ball right in his chest as a result of that. I mean, the stories were legendary. He was never nice to pretty much anyone.
No one.
And no one. No, not you at 6 years old, Dave. No. Not reporters in the locker room. Not Hannah Storm. No one. He didn't like anybody. He continues to get into trouble, and I just know he would say 1 or 2 things that are unbelievably interesting to, if only to me.
Good old Albert Bell. God, that would be a funny interview. Let's book.
It would be so awkward.
Let's try to
so
book
awkward.
it. We'll book it.
We'll book it.
We'll book it.
Get Alec on that.
Tag him, Alec.
Right.
Tag him, Alec.
Is he on Twitter? I'm sure he isn't on Twitter.
Oh, dude, he's like, I can't join the show tonight, and he's left like 30 comments already in here.
Oh, yeah.
Good stuff. All right, that is Power Rank Wednesday revised. Let's get into some Cleveland headlines. All-Star Game week is over, and Shane Bieber, MLB All Star Game MVP, Cleveland Twitter cannot be beaten. The All-Star festivities were awesome this week. The Indians' 5th starter, yes, the 5th starter for the Cleveland Indians, won the MVP last night, struck out the side in the 5th inning for the American League. Now, Chris, you were telling us right before we went on air, how did this happen? How did a pitcher who usually only pitches 1 inning for an entire game become the MVP of the All-Star Game?
Yeah, so after that 5th inning where he goes out and he mows down 3, I get a DM, and it's from the Cleveland Indians, and they said, hey, it's a fan vote for the MVP of the All-Star Game. We would really like to see Shane Bieber be the MVP of this All-Star Game. Can you help us out? And I think they reached out to a few other, people with the influencers club, I guess. And sure enough, we were able to get enough votes. We had everybody on it. We rallied the troops, and Shane Bieber ended up being the MVP last night. And that's just another feather in the cap, I would say, of Cleveland Twitter. You know, we got Peyton Hillis on the cover of Madden, and we got Shane Bieber as your MVP of the All Star Game, baby.
That's fantastic. I hope you got some Papa John's on the way.
Yeah. I've got plenty of those cards.
I know you do. Also, Home Run Derby, that was awesome as well. Pete Alonso outlasting Vlad Guerrero Jr. to win it. Carlos Santana obviously didn't do all that well. Didn't really matter. Yeah. Me and Nick were there at this thing. Nick, what'd you think of the Derby?
I mean, it was sweet. I think it was you that said it's like watching fireworks with baseballs, and like
yes.
it's this extra added element that people don't understand when you watch it on TV. That there is a legitimate chance every time that bat is swung that your head could be taken off. So that extra added element of watching those baseballs fly all over your head is just something that's spectacular.
And they didn't follow their own rules. So like in years past, you had to wait until the ball was like caught by a fan or wasn't in the air.
Yep.
When Vlad was out there, it was like a pew, 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 rapid fire. I'm like, this is kind of getting dangerous.
Yeah, they were cranking them out, and I think that's what made this Derby like so much more fun than Derbies past was that just rapid fire home runs. And there's so much talk as if the ball is juiced and stuff like that. I don't even know if it was that or if it's just the simple fact that these guys didn't care. They weren't waiting for the ball to land one bit.
Or the fact that we were there.
Right.
That might have something to do with it as well. Chris, what was your favorite part of All-Star Week here in Cleveland?
Oh, it had to be Shane Bieber getting the MVP. I think we're going to remember that for a long time. We still talk about Alomar when he won it back in the day, and I think we're going to be talking about this one as well. It's just such a unique thing for a great weekend in Cleveland. It came off so well. I'm just so proud of the town, to be honest with you.
Yeah, seriously. Let's keep the Cleveland headlines rolling. So speaking of baseball, the Tribe ended the first half of the season on quite the hot streak, if you don't remember, before this All-Star Week began. Currently riding a 6-game win streak, compiled an AL best record 21-9 since the start of June. The Indians have cut the Twins' lead from 10.5. I remember we were talking about this a couple weeks on the show, down to 5.5 over that span. And they play the Twins this coming weekend. We got a big play outing on Saturday. We got like 40 big play guys and gals going to the game to root on the Tribe. Just a month or so ago, the media was calling for the Tribe to be sellers at the deadline. So I'll ask you guys now, Chris, I'll start with you. What move would you like to see the Indians make at the deadline? Obviously, it's not going to be to sell.
No, but you may have to do a little bit of selling. I would love to get a bat. I think everybody is saying the same thing, and we've been saying it since the offseason. It would be great to get a bat, but you're going to have to give up something. And I tell you, I've heard this a lot, and that's giving up Trevor Bauer and going out and really getting a top shelf type of bat for a guy like that. And I'm not against that idea. I'm really not, seeing as he's been a little bit uneven this year so far. And the fact that he's straight up told us that he's not going to be here long term. He's going to go year to year. So, I mean, if you're going to go for it, then go for it. I don't know if you're going to be able to get him for much or get all that much more for him in the off season than what you might potentially now. So I've warmed to that idea. I'm not completely sold, but I think it may be something to explore if you get enough of a haul for him.
And I wouldn't even consider that selling, because you look at the Indians. I mean, especially Carrasco's talking about he could come back in September, which is phenomenal. We'll talk about him in a little bit here, but I mean, you've got Bieber, you've got Plesac, who if they bring him back up to the starting rotation, he got whacked a couple times. You got Clevenger, who's faced some injuries, but
amongst other problems,
that you're not allowed to talk about anymore.
That's right.
But yeah, I mean, Nick, what's one move you'd like to make for the Indians?
Yeah,
we've also got Corey Kluber, by the way. You didn't even mention him.
Right? How crazy is that?
So just an FYI,
wow.
That guy still is in the club.
I'm actually with Chris. Obviously, you're going to have to sell something to get something back, whether it be a prospect or a player. there's been almost too much talk over the last week or so about Trevor Bauer, about Brad Hand moving. The Yankees are a team that gets thrown around. The Houston Astros are another team that get thrown around in talks with Trevor Bauer or Brad Hand. Something kind of interesting to keep in mind is Danny Salazar is slowly working his way up the rehab ranks.
Yeah.
And I'm not putting any eggs in that basket. But if they do sell Brad Hand, that could mean that something is on the horizon with Danny Salazar.
As long as we don't start him in a wild card game, I'm completely cool with that.
Yeah, it didn't work out too well.
Not so much. Let's keep going with the Indians for a second. So Carlos Carrasco honored at the All Star Game after sharing some sad news with Cleveland. Obviously, if you missed it, he revealed that he's battling leukemia. Hasn't pitched for the Tribe since May 30th. Previously listed on the undisclosed injury list with that blood disorder. Really, really cool to see the MLB show him some love on a national level for Carlos. Chris, I think you had something to do with that as well.
Yeah, well, we started a petition online to try and get Carlos Carrasco to throw out the first pitch. I'd heard that CC was probably going to do it at that point, but I thought, you know what? We should probably get him some recognition just to show him how much this city is behind him, how much the nation is behind him. I thought it would be a great moment if he was up for it. And we ended up getting, I'm looking at it right now, we got over 20,000 signatures on that thing.
No kidding.
Yeah, 20,000 signatures. So there's a lot of people who felt very passionately about letting Carlos know how much we care for him. And I thought Major League Baseball did a nice job. They did the stand up against cancer thing. And right in the middle there, they had all the players that were in the game there with Carlos and had some nice recognition. So I thought they did it in a really nice fashion there. And I tell you what, I was very close to tearing up. And I know just talking to people on social media last night, I was not the only one. It got pretty emotional there, I think, for everyone, for what Carlos is going through. I think, fortunately, the news is as good as it can be at this point. They're talking about him coming back to pitch. But for right now, it's just nice to be able to demonstrate to him just how much that we care about him, not only as a baseball player, but then also as a human being, as a person here in Cleveland.
Yeah, well said, well said. Hey, quick shout out to Brendan Corrigan, our winner of those All-Star Game tickets. He's chatting it up on YouTube here. Appreciate you. Hope you had fun at that game. Thanks for sending those pictures over. Looked like pretty good Marlins seats. Can't believe you actually got them.
First baseline, like the second row back. I'm sitting there going, man, we shouldn't have given those away. We should just kept those bad boys. I wouldn't have minded to sit there.
We might have to have the Marlins man back on.
We're going to have him back on to give away tickets to us.
That's right.
To us this time.
We'll see what happens. We got a Cavs headline. I say we skip it. It's too early for Cavs. I'm skipping it. We are going to go to the royal wedding.
Of course.
Cleveland's royal wedding was this weekend. Baker Mayfield got married to his longtime girlfriend, Emily Wilkinson. They tied the knot in California on Saturday. Of course, their wedding date was on the 6th. Well done, Baker Mayfield. One of our show producers, Nick, one of our writers as well, he asked the ladies on Twitter out there, who's the top bachelor now in Cleveland, Ohio? We got an audience here as well. We got Big Play Beats and Jaybird sitting in the studio. What's up, guys? It was between Myles Garrett, I think Trevor Bauer with a drone. I forget who else was on there. Do you remember, Nick or Chris?
There were a couple. A name that we keep bringing up. Sorry, Chris. Mike Clevenger was the name.
Can't talk about him.
That was the Indians aren't letting me talk about that.
Yeah.
We can edit this out later, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's got to be Myles Garrett, right?
I don't know. I don't think three guys are going to talk.
Three guys on here talking about dating dudes.
Bree, where are you? Where are you? No, the ladies.
Bree would say Bernie Kosar.
Right. Yes. Right.
Hands down.
Yes. A comment right in for Bernie. No, I think the ladies picked Myles Garrett on Twitter. So good work, ladies. Let's keep it going. All right. Brendan Corrigan said he had a blast even though he was surrounded by every Rockies fan in existence.
Rockies.
Interesting. The Rockies traveling from Colorado. Good stuff. Well, could have been worse. He could have been surrounded by like Yankees or Boston fans. So
absolutely, Rockies fans. Who is that? I mean,
that's kind of
really nothing there.
Yeah, I will say, as we were walking around downtown, there was a ton of just random jerseys.
Yeah,
obviously.
we talked to a few Tampa Bay fans.
Yes, yes, we did, and we're gonna have those
exist too.
Yeah, we're gonna have that.
Was it Rays fan Gio? Was
No,
he out there with his time?
So,
no, okay.
Chris,
There's another fan.
we hit the streets of downtown Cleveland while we were down there and did some Q&A and some trivia with some random people. So we're gonna play that on the Big Play podcast tonight here in like an hour or so. Funny stuff. That was some good stuff. But let's keep going with the Brownies. So every week we've been breaking down a quarter of the season. So far we have the Browns going somewhere between like 5-2-1. I threw a tie in there. 6-2 I think was Bree. Ask any other Browns fan, we'd be 8-0 at this point. But we move on to Game 9, and we've got versus the Bills. So we've got some similar histories here with the Bills and the Browns. Heartbreaking and big playoff moments, huge long droughts between playoff berths, and diehard fans. So I feel like Cleveland and Buffalo are like one and the same. Those fans are some of the coolest guys out there outside of Cleveland. But we got the Tyrod Taylor Bowl, Week 9. The Bills they've been one of the best running teams over the last few years. It's going to be interesting to see this new look Browns run defense. I'm excited to see Baker Mayfield versus Josh Allen. Buffalo is super high on Josh Allen. We're obviously super high on Baker Mayfield. Chris, who do you think wins this battle statistically?
I think Baker Mayfield does. But I think the Bills may beat us, and here's the reason why.
Really?
This is your classic trap game, gentlemen. We go into Week 7 is the bye. Week 8, we play the Patriots, which we're going to be geeked up for. All during that bye, we're going to be game planning the heck out of that game. The following week, we have to go out to Denver to play the Broncos, which is always tough. So those two we're going to be prepared as heck for. Then you have this game. The week after, we have the Steelers coming home. Oof. So this is a classic sandwich Oreo. You've got a trap game. You've got the Bills at home. Everybody's looking past them. The Bills by this time are going to be probably a whole lot of nothing, about 500. The Browns are going to be talking playoffs, and then the Bills are going to come in and smack us in the mouth. And it may be a wake-up call for us, so I wouldn't mind that. I still want to see Baker grow. I still think he's the better quarterback, so I still think he has the better day, though.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. It's super interesting. The Browns have games against all 4 of the other first-round quarterbacks from Baker Mayfield's class. I feel like that doesn't happen all that often.
Yeah,
it's almost like it's intentional.
Yeah, and it's going to be exciting because this is actually the Bills game is actually going to be a Kareem Hunt game. That's something that a lot of people forget about. Is this is going to be a game where Kareem Hunt is going to be off of that 8-game half-season suspension. Like Chris said, although it is on the back half of the season, Kareem Hunt will be in. So what if Duke Johnson Jr., who just fired his agent, is still here, and if Nick Chubb needs that break off and needs a little bit of a relaxer from all the carries, having Kareem Hunt come into this Buffalo Bills game in cold Buffalo is going to be helpful.
Not a bad third option.
A casual John Dorsey third option.
Yeah, I was looking at the Bills depth chart, and look at this. This is like a 2012 fantasy team dream team. LaShawn McCoy and Frank Gore.
Frank Gore ain't good no more.
Wow. Frank Gore's good forever. How old is he, 45?
I was going to say 50.
He's up there. He is up there. Let's move on to Game 10 versus the Steelers. Chris, you just mentioned it. This game needs no introduction. Brown-Steelers rivalry should be competitive again. We'll see. It's odd not seeing Pittsburgh until the 10th game of the season.
Yeah, what's that all about?
I don't know.
Wait until the 10th game. Really, all our divisional games. I know that's what the NFL is really going for these days, is to push the divisional games to the end of the season so you're battling for that position in the division. But it's amazing not to get the Steelers until Week 10.
Yeah, that's hopefully we're 9-0 and then we blow them out. But yeah, that's super weird. I mean, a lot of talk about Browns Ravens. You can't count out the Steelers here. So you've got
it's Thursday night. This is a Thursday.
Another
night ball game.
Thursday. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got, what is that? Will that be our fourth or fifth primetime game? I think that'll be our fourth.
That's 4.
We got 3 in the first 5 weeks, which is just insane.
Here we go. Monday night, Sunday night, Monday night, and then we take a few weeks off and then come back on Thursday.
Yeah. So the matchup in this one I'm really looking forward to is Myles Garrett dressed as Dwight Schrute, shredding that piece of paper with Ben Roethlisberger. I think Myles Garrett gets 2 sacks in this game.
Yeah.
And I think the Browns win.
Yeah, he very easily could. I mean, the thing that's going to be interesting to watch for the Steelers this year is the lack of weapons on offense. Obviously, they've retooled the defense, so the defense is not going to be the concern for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's never really been their concern. They always have a decently stable defense. However, their offense, you lose AB, Juju slides into your one receiver spot.
He looked really good.
Not a bad option.
Right,
a bad option, but you also lose Le'Veon Bell as well, and that's going to be the killer because Big Ben isn't going to have anyone to get the ball out to as quickly as what he's used to. Insert Myles Garrett into his grill, and the rest is history.
Right. James Conner looked really, really good. See if, concussion problems along the way at some point. So we'll see how that plays up. You think it's a win, Nick?
Yeah, this is the one that's at home, isn't it? This is the one, or is this in Pittsburgh?
So this is we're at week 10, right?
Yeah.
This is home.
This is in Cleveland.
This is in Cleveland. Yeah, this is a win.
Be insane.
Yeah, on Thursday Night Football. Yep, they're wearing the Color Rush uniforms. I already have the gut feeling that the Color Rush will come out for that one on Thursday night against Pittsburgh. It'll be a similar feeling to the Jets game as to, finally beating Pittsburgh is something that a lot of Browns fans will hold close to them. But yeah, I'm going to mark this one down as
There's going to be people tailgating Thursday morning at like 7 a.m.
Yeah, and it's going to be like, how'd you guys get off work?
Tuesday at 7 a.m., my friend.
Oh, man.
Come on.
Yeah,
it's going to be nuts down there. But the thing, you get into the double digits for number of games. This is game number 10, right?
Right.
You start talking about injuries. And we'll see what kind of a Cleveland Browns team you have at this point versus what kind of a Pittsburgh Steelers team you have at this point. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger isn't going to stay upright, for an entirety of a season. I don't think he's going to go down at some point. He may be down by this point. I mean, he's aging. His time is running out. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of a Steelers team that comes in here. For our sake, I wouldn't mind having Ben back there at quarterback. I want to beat them at full strength. And I want to beat them on national TV. I want to beat them on Thursday night. I want to make a statement late in the season here that we're just not some flash in the pan, that we're going to beat our rival in our house, and we're looking up toward the playoffs.
Yeah, and Chris, you mentioned depth. So you look at the Steelers roster. Behind Big Ben, they've got Mason Rudolph, the big guy, not a great arm. Not a whole lot of depth there. And then you got James Conner, who's had some injury problems in the past. They got Jalen Samuels. Jay, rank 1 to 10, Jalen Samuels, how is he as a running back?
He's okay. He's only in his second year. Remember they drafted Benny Snell, though.
Oh, okay. He hasn't made it up the depth chart yet, though. Okay, so
Benny Snail, you mean?
Benny Snail. Look at that. Zingers. All right, let's move on to Game 11. We are hosting the Miami Dolphins. If you saw that picture of Ryan Fitzpatrick and my guy Rosen today, that is quite the duo. Quite the duo. So this game, this could be a good test for Cleveland as we try to avoid a letdown sandwich between the two rivalry games. We got the Dolphins. They could be a tanking team this year. I'm actually higher on them than a lot of people. I like Rosen. I think he's going to take over, especially at this time in the season. But usually at this point of the season, Browns are the tank team with teams trying not to overlook us, like back when we had Colt McCoy beating the Patriots. Dolphins QBs versus the Browns secondary. Fitzmagic, I don't think he's going to be playing this time around week, what are we at, week 11?
Yeah, week 11.
Week 11. I think it's going to be Rosen. I think we could see a couple interceptions here.
Yeah, we very well could. And, I'm actually high on Rosen, too. He's a guy that hung out with Aaron Rodgers throughout the
found another one!
throughout the whole draft process, he was hanging out with Aaron Rodgers. I think he has a lot of promise, and the situation in Arizona was just not good for him because he wasn't surrounded by much talent. But with that being said, he went ahead and went to the Miami Dolphins, who might have absolutely a worse supporting cast. So it'll be interesting to see. Like you said, I don't think it'll be Fitzmagic at this point of the year. I think they'll just, you spent the draft picks on Josh Rosen. You might as well just open that bag of chips and see what you have with him. So I think they'll be going with Rosen at that point in the year, but I just don't think, against Denzel Ward, hopefully he's healthy at this point in the year, and Greedy Williams, Terrence Mitchell, it's just going to be a lot for him.
Yeah, we got Mike in the comments saying Rosen throwing to Ward's going to be a beautiful thing. Yes, it will, Mike.
I mean, you call this thing a test, though? You call this a test game? I mean, I don't know. It's the Miami
I guess
Dolphins.
A trap game? I don't know.
Maybe a trap game, but I mean, it's not so much a test like an LSAT type of test. It's more like a DUI checkpoint type of test. Like, how dumb are you? How bad are you at this point? I mean, you've got to be able to at least be smart enough as an organization, smart enough as a team, and talented enough to overcome a team like the Miami Dolphins. I don't think very highly of them at all. I think it's a team that we should be able to roll over, especially at this point in the season. We're going to be an established machine, hopefully. So we're just going to roll right by Miami this week.
Yeah, I think it's a win. Nick, win?
Yeah, we got 3 wins.
You think it's a win? All right. Wins, unanimous wins. I love that. And then we head to week 12, and this is where we are at the Steelers. So this is going to be a huge road test for the young Brownies. Cleveland's only beaten the Steelers twice since 1990. Jay giving me a head nod.
Jay's
back
going
there.
nuts over there.
Come on, man. Baker's looked great with the Browns. We'll see how he does with thousands of out-of-shape grown men waving those little towels at him. Huge matchup here. I think Myles Garrett's, at this point of the season, I think he's going to have a really good year. I think he's going to get double teamed. I want to see what Olivier Vernon can do against Big Ben.
Yeah, and I'll counter that with, Olivier Vernon's counterpart / backup. Let's see what Jannard Avery's got this week.
I love Jannard Avery.
Say somehow the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line, which again is one of their strengths, I will give them that. Say, they do find a way to corral Myles Garrett and Olivier Vernon both. Cool. Let's just send Jannard Avery at him right through the middle, and there's no stopping the 3 of those on the field at the same time.
Yeah, and you've got Sheldon Richardson, you got Ogunjobi up the middle.
Yeah.
I feel pretty good of our chances of getting to Big Ben, especially at this point.
Well, and I think that's part of the reason we made all those moves up front is a divisional game against a team like the Steelers, because we saw Big Ben for so many years just sit back there and pick us apart, and we knew we had to get some kind of heat on him, some kind of pressure to force him into making bad decisions with our secondary, guys like Denzel Ward out there roaming. So hopefully this is where that comes to fruition in a tough place to play in Pittsburgh. I think we can come out with a V for the second time in 3 weeks.
No kidding. We haven't. Okay, so since 1990, we've won 2. Chris is going with a W. Nick, what are you going with here?
I'm going to be the bearer of bad news here. I think it's going to be a loss. It's so hard to play in Pittsburgh. What are we at, week 12 here? The weather's going to be slipping a little bit. Pittsburgh is cold. It's smelly. It's going to be a hard one for Baker to win in, and I just can't see that one being a win. Like you said, 2 times since 1990. I think this could be one of the rare slip-ups for the Cleveland Browns. Okay. I don't think they're going to get blown out, but it'll be close. But I just have the Steelers in this one. Even
when the Browns are a crappy team, usually they don't get blown out in the rivalry games. Even with the Steelers, I'm with you. I think they split this rivalry. I'll go with an L as well. I'd rather win it at home. I'm fine only winning 2 since 1990. Whatever, as long as we go to the playoffs, I'm cool. Chris.
Oh, I already
you said a W.
2 out of 3.
Right.
Come on, you guys are being negative over here. I'm being all positive. I'm going Bree all over this.
There we
one.
go. All right, math majors. What will that put us at? So we were 5-2-1 or 6-2. What do we have? 3 wins there. So we're at 9-ish.
Yeah, around there.
You're like, I didn't major in math. Leave me alone.
Right.
It's addition.
Well, 9-3, right? Because we have 4 games. No. 9-2. No, 9-3.
No,
9-3.
Yeah, it would be 9-3 or what?
Or 8-4.
Or
with the tie.
Right,
Why'd you pick a tie?
Let's stop doing math.
Yeah.
let's stop doing math.
Because the rest of the schedule, we got the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Ravens, and then the Bengals again. It's so wild. Just so much of that is just backloaded with division. So it'll be interesting. We'll go through that next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week. I love the end of this schedule. I think we got a bunch of W's on that, but we'll see.
Yeah, that Cardinals game has a big old star for me.
Okay, very interesting. So yeah, we will break
3
down.
3-13 Cardinals has a big star for you. All right.
We'll break down the rest of those games. So we're at 9 games. You got to think there's a few wins in the back end of this schedule. How many do you think we need to get to the playoffs this year? I think we can make it with 10.
Yeah, you definitely make it with 10. You obviously want to, if you win the division, the whole home field advantage stuff. I think you're going to need over 10 wins to do that, though. I think you're going to need to be in the 11-5, 12-4 conversation to have that home field advantage.
Sure.
Wild card at 9, 10 wins would suffice, though. Let's just get this thing into the playoffs.
Home field advantage talk on the Big Play Cleveland Reflux Show. It's beautiful.
You live by the half game, you die by the half game. You're
in July,
10.5 wins. 10.5 wins, and that's what the Browns are going to have at the end of the season.
You know it. All right, let's move on to 2 really quick would you rathers, and then we'll get some bold predictions and get out of here. Where is my would you rather music? There it is. All right, Chris, I'm asking you this one. Would you rather trade Kevin Love and Tristan Thompson to help with this rebuild, get some more picks, or hold on to them with the nostalgia of that 2016 championship?
I don't have any nostalgia. No, burn it all down, get rid of them, see what we can get for them. It's a fire sale. I'm kind of that way, the same way I am with the house. People are like, oh, don't you want to keep this? No, sell it on eBay. Let's get some cash for it. Let's roll. Same thing with this Cavs team. Love it. We'll always have 2016. Let's not try and recreate anything from the past. Let's just roll with what we've got as assets to try and get new assets in here.
All right, Nick, I'm going to ask you one. You're a younger guy, okay? So this is a big one. Would you rather this weekend have the Indians sweep the Twins or you win $300 on a scratch-off lottery ticket?
That's tough. All right. I'm gonna morph these together. Actually, is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to have the Indians beat the Twins, and that way we're way up in the conversation to win the American League Central. But before the series starts, I'm going to put a bet on the Cleveland Indians to win the American League Central division, just so it's enough money to equal the $300. Shout out Bovada.
Look at that guy.
About knee-deep in hypotheticals there on what we would do.
Oh, I love that. That's a good answer. Didn't answer it, but oh well.
I want to see.
That's a great answer by not answering it at all.
I want to see us sweep the
Perfect
Twins.
I
want to see us sweep the Twins. We'll be there Saturday.
You are a liar. You are a liar. You take that $300.
Oh yeah, you just didn't want to say it.
You just don't want to say it. You want to act like the good fan. Take the money, man. Take the money. Go 2-1 this weekend. It's a long season, and you got $300 in your pocket.
All right. Yeah, I didn't know that. Okay, if that's an option, then yeah, I'll take 2-1. I'll take 2-1. I thought we were getting swept, and I was getting $300. No, I'll take 2-1.
All right, let's move on to our bold predictions and get the heck out of here. I'm going to say we go 2-1 against the Twins this weekend. My bold prediction last week, I said we would be at least 6.5, up to 6.5 in the AL Central. That came true. I finally got one. Chris, your prediction was Bobby Bradley would burn your house down. You are safe for now. You're 2-12. What is your bold prediction
Bobby.
for
Thanks,
the
assassin.
week? Yeah, well, you ruined his career, so oh well.
Hey. He's still got time. Let's be patient with Mr. Bobby Bradley. He's a young fella.
There we go.
So my new prediction for this upcoming week for Monday's show, which I will be calling into from beautiful and scenic South Carolina, is that by that time, your Cleveland Indians will be 2.5 games back on Monday. That means a sweep win.
If only Nick didn't take the $300.
I know.
He's going to ruin your prediction.
Yeah, I'll take my $300, and Chris goes, 2-13?
Yes. All right, give me a prediction.
All right, my prediction is going to be that J.R. Smith is going to no longer be a Cavalier by the end of this week.
Okay. Now, is that insider information?
That is not insider information.
Okay.
That's a hunch, but you start to see now the Russell Westbrook stuff get thrown around. Possibly Miami is a suitor. We're possibly a third team that could be in the mix there. I could definitely see Miami Heat picking up J.R. Smith just to cut him loose, or OKC to pick him up and cut him loose in another salary dump just to keep things tame on the J.R. Smith front. I'm gonna say he's gone by the end of the week.
All right, I like it. We'll be talking a lot more NBA, the Big Play podcast here in a half hour. All right, I need another caffeinated beverage. Shout out to Brendan. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to General Patton. Lot of people in the comments. Another Mike out there. Great stuff. Fantastic show. Thanks for tuning in for those Omar and Joe Thomas interviews. And we will see you guys next Monday. Chris, happy early birthday, brother.